Secret singer.
Fellas, Kate Upton shows up to your house.
With a tray of In-N-Out burger.
A tray of In-N-Out burgers.
A French-made outfit.
Yeah, and she's like, I have the new PlayStation 5. I want to play it with you, then have sex with you. What do you do?
Felix, I really
handed her a
enjoyed...
Jack Chick track.
I really enjoyed your video about the Wendy's tweets.
Oh, yeah, no.
Everyone's favorite corporate brand now.
I love Wendy's because all their tweets are like, it's like trying to pick up like a sort of disconnected but socially conscious style of irony from like 2014 where it's like, hey, so Frosties are pretty cool, but you know, it's not cool, gender conformity. And people are like, when did Wendy's get so good at tweeting? And I just, you know, using my extreme comedic ability, I thought, what if it was like that, but they were virulently anti-Semitic to the point that they did the Gazar theory on Jews' DNA, which actually I've been thinking about, not that anti-Semitic. It's saying that we descended from Genghis Khan, and that's cool.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Didn't we all descend from Genghis Khan, though?
No, like 2% or something.
We descended from John Africa. That's what it means when people say we're all Africans. We're from the founder of the continent of Africa.
John Africa was the what is it, the move guy. Yeah.
Well, they were all somebody Africa. And I always wanted I think John Waters talked about this. He said, I wish someone would make a movie about Sue Africa, who was the one white person in Move. And she just was kind of there, and no one really explained why.
Good for her.
Yeah.
That, the documentary
She
about
must have
that
just been
was
really down.
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, it was completely...
It was like one of the best documentaries because there were like what I loved about it is that there was no narration or any current interviews. It was all just assembled from like stock, like real news footage, and
yeah,
like
all of that stuff was there, and they had talked to those people multiple times.
Here's the thing. Obviously, the Philadelphia Police Department literally dropping a bomb from a helicopter that destroyed an entire middle class black neighborhood.
But CPS should have.
However, if you, as that documentary makes clear, living in that neighborhood with those people, like you would have wanted to bomb that house.
Well, also
like,
the kids had like distended bellies, and the guy was like, "Oh, it's because they eat so much," and it's like.
It's because they only fed children fruit and raw vegetables. So they were just must have had diarrhea constantly. And had, like the
they were not healthy children.
We're doing a paleo bulk.
I like the fact that the Wendy's God tweets of the week came at the same exact time that there was a news article about how hyper exploitative Wendy's is of their employees.
Oh yeah. I mean, like,
how is Wendy's more hyper exploitative than other fast food chains?
Okay, so you know the Wendy girl.
Yeah.
She's a slave. No, I mean, it's like anywhere else. It's like wage. I mean, I think they're all pretty much equally exploitative. McDonald's.
I mean, they literally run off the same like model.
Yeah. But it's like, you know.
But Wendy's has a spicy chicken
sandwich.
It's the best fast food sandwich.
And the Frosty is terrific. But yeah, it's like anywhere else, like wage theft and unpaid hours and just capriciously taking shifts and giving them away. Everything that a shitty big company or any company does.
Wendy's is my favorite national fast food chain, though.
Yeah, I think I agree.
It's my go-to.
Yeah, Popeyes.
Popeyes.
Yeah.
It's
Popeyes is not that ubiquitous, though. It's hard to find
it's
a
nationwide
Popeyes in a lot
now.
of places.
I think it is. It
Popeyes
got bought
is
by
very
Burger
good.
King, I think.
My favorite.
Popeyes has the best sides.
Yeah.
Those biscuits.
Biscuits
oh my
are
God, the
god tier. Biscuits are god tier biscuits.
Little butter clouds.
It's just amazing.
My favorite.
Exactly.
My favorite, like not national, but very like big local, like tri-state area chain. You guys know what I'm going to say? Fucking Culver's. And
I've never had it. I've never had it.
Great.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
We can speak to Culver's. It's very
the best
good.
dairy treat.
That's true. Custard's the
100%.
best frozen treat.
What separates custard
It's
from
got
like
eggs, so it's richer.
It's like just more velvety and kind of
it's velvety and
mouthfeel.
luxurious.
There's more fat.
Yeah, it's worse for you, therefore tastier.
So
Guys,
better.
my favorite part about any meal, the mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Give me that mouthfeel.
If I don't have a mouth, what that mouthfeel do? If that mouthfeel isn't up to par, I'm not interested.
Fellas, when you get a little bit older and you start really, connect, not just, you're in a relationship or you're fucking or you're doing hookups or you're doing friends with benefits. I'm talking about the soul connecting. You and your queen are going to go to Culver's, and instead of asking her how the cheese curds feel in her mouth, you're going to toss 3 of those bad boys in there. and watch her chew it up, and then just
What, like a seal?
Yeah, just ram your tongue into it so you
Yeah.
can feel it while
Women
she
love
feels
that.
it. Yeah. So
They
you
love
can-
being treated like they're at SeaWorld.
Yeah, they love it when you toss cheese curds in their mouth and then you just chew them together and you feel how they feel in her mouth. That's real soul connecting, like third eye relationship.
You know,
stuff.
we do have young, impressionable listeners. We don't want to give them these ideas. They're going to do that because you told them.
No, they're not. They're not dating anyone. It's
Yeah, they're-
impossible for them to do this. Hey, I got a political joke. Imagine if Bill Clinton got into Viagra. That's just wrong. Guys, welcome to the show.
Well, actually, this is a good place to like actually start the show because this is a banner week, you know, for people who are really funny on Twitter because we're all now everyone is a real stable genius.
Yep.
You know, if you can just do a riff on that joke, maybe in your display name, it's like time to rack up those follows. Beginning with David Frum, of course, who said that Trump is like Fredo. Because he said I'm smart, like he insisted he's smart like Fredo.
Yeah,
But
that's why
to
he
call
makes the
Trump
big
Fredo
bucks.
betrays that you haven't really seen any of the Godfather movies because Fredo is like the also ran brother who like nobody really respects and doesn't have any power,
Yeah.
whereas Trump is like actually the president.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just saying, oh, he's like this character because he's bad.
I just think Fredo is the free floating, lowest hanging pop culture reference for middle aged shitheads with really no frame of reference for the modern era.
Well,
and
these
just
people have
generally,
seen one movie.
yeah.
Trump is
Like
close.
Saddam Hussein, they're all huge fans of the Godfather trilogy.
Trump is closer to Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada than he is to Fredo.
That is absolutely true.
Yes.
He's the news bitch. That's like his dream. When people, I bet when someone like in like spring of 2015, when someone was like, "What do you envision for America?" and you went into his mind, it was just him in like a silk bathrobe and an ascot going, "Anderson Cooper, whoever told you to part your hair that way, not the smartest move. You're on the wrong side of 40." And just dispensing bone mows at Anna Wintour in his eternal struggle against her and Graydon Carter. And then when it came out of his mouth, he's like, "Jobs are coming back and no Mexicans." And then they were like, "Oh, that sounds great," because we're a bunch of racist Long Island shitheads who hang out in Trump Tower in the cop playpen.
So
that we have here.
here's the sort of hierarchy. It's like, okay, you start with the middle-aged tryhards like David Cum,
Yes.
who are like, Trump is Fredo.
Yeah.
Then you have the sort of, I don't know, sort of like 20-something girls who don't really know how to curse, who are just like, Trump is a trash, shit, bacon, dumpster, garbage man.
Hey, Trump, you're a shit-ass mother clocker.
And then there's me, undisputed irony comedic genius. Our president has a big old pussy.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun just imagining what Trump's orgasms are like. I kind of imagined that jerking off Trump would be like getting frosting out of a piping bag. You know?
I think he's like
His urethra
Like the
is
way,
also like a star, so it comes out in those nice...
Yeah, like Play-Doh.
I think he's the way like pigs are, where they don't actually ejaculate; they just dribble for a long period
Yeah.
of time.
Oh, yeah, he's like, it's like a lava cake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, just lethargically puddling in like a sort of indentation.
He leaves behind like a trail.
If he waits
Oh,
a
yeah.
while and he gets really excited, it's like the last blast of a ready whip can. Just the very end of it. Just
What if it's like an omnidirectional cum, like it seeps out through his pores?
See, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about just like his entire
You think
every
he comes
surface
the way
area.
platypus nurse, where it's like he kind of sweats it out?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Like Matt was saying, what if he didn't have a urethra?
Yeah, he just had like a dick. Like his
Yeah.
dick was completely solid.
Actually, similar to the platypus, he doesn't have a dick. He has a poisoned barb. So yeah, I guess we're talking about this because I guess the talk of the week, of course, is the Michael Wolff tell-all book behind the
Yeah.
scenes of the Trump administration.
Woohoo!
Not really sure how to feel about this. You know, it's like everyone's talking about it. People love it because it essentially confirms what a stupid shit show everything is and how dumb everyone in the White House is.
Yep.
That's on the one hand, it's fun to read, and it's caused this big falling out between Trump and Bannon, and they're bitching at each other, and Bannon just apologized, which is really funny.
Yeah, he ran up the white flag, which obviously, I mean, okay, you got to choose sides. The literal president of the United States, no matter how stupid or disconnected or incompetent he is, he's still fucking president. He has all of the connections related to that. Everybody wants a piece of him. He's got all the suction with all the donors, or just this fat, booze sweating troglodyte who just has a website. Who the fuck's gonna back Bannon in that?
Bannon got so high on his own supply from like reading those articles that were like, he's like Darth Vader. He's like if Captain Hook met the judge from Toontown. And he was like, then he read like his articles that he like commissioned articles on Breitbart that was like, the new genius says some cool stuff in Japan. Like he was on tour, and that was all Breitbart was for like a month.
Yeah.
And then he just read comments from like boomers that were like, Steve Bannon says what I'm thinking. And he's like, oh, I could run for president.
Can you
I'm as
imagine?
powerful as Donald Trump. And then like, yeah, people didn't vote for Steve Bannon. They voted for Donald Trump because they like news gossip, not because they like dark Machiavelli.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work, and Steve Bannon, you know, did what happens when any two alpha males fight. He was like, I'm sorry, and I would love to paint you, pimp.
Donald Jr. is not a traitor. He's a very smart young man.
I would love your muscles are so tight, homie. Big J, Jared, what's up, player? Looking fucking swole. Have you been doing push-ups on the plane? That's what Bannon said, because, yeah, whenever two strong men fight, that's what it's like.
But like
Mutual respect between warriors.
In Michael Wolff, though, you found like the perfect marriage of writer and subject, because Michael Wolff is like a fish-faced fraud of the highest order.
Totally full of shit. And by the way, Michael Wolff is not allowed to travel to Germany because his face violates hate speech laws against anti-Semitism.
I really did love people who have been in just a perpetual state of apoplectic, outrage at the idea that there's fake news, that the media is making things up against Trump. And then this book comes along by this guy who admits that he basically makes things up as he goes along. And I'm like, yeah, but it's fun. It's okay. It's getting to it's truth-esque. Even if it's not technically true, it's pointing us in the right direction. Okay, you've just validated everything every one of these hooting morons has ever said about how the media doesn't actually give a shit about the truth. Congratulations.
Well, they don't.
Well, they don't.
The hooting
Yes,
morons are onto something.
they are right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's how Trump is able to reach people, even though he mostly just talks about media gossip, and is because he is tapping into a genuine alienation from the media.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's perfect, like, that after this whole thing of this book by this, he's like, if you created in the mind palace of an alt-right guy, like a media guy, Michael Wolff would be the perfect guy. This guy who's just known as a fabulist and just completely full of shit, that the day out, like today, Jake Tapper had on Stephen Miller and did my favorite Jake Tapper thing, where he just gets a guy who's just straight up lying and doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's like, sir, that's not the truth. And everyone's like, I can't believe he just did a newsman smackdown. And it's like, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter whether it's Michael Wolff, who's like probably half full of shit, probably half the shit in the book is made up, or if it's Jake Tapper, who technically is like beating some dumbass in an argument, because in an atomized culture where no one follows an internal logic tree, no one ever has, but especially not now, and it's completely tribal, it's just a completely masturbatory exercise.
Yeah. I mean, the book is meaningless. The argument between Bannon and Trump is meaningless. The slap fight between Miller and Jake Tapper is meaningless. Meanwhile, every fucking inch of American coastline just got authorized for fucking oil drilling.
Yeah,
well, everyone is jerking off about Jake Tapper owning Stephen Miller for being the wrong type of ethno-nationalist. Jake Tapper, who wants to bring Maher Kahane back from the dead. Trump is creating the big shell disaster for Metal Gear Solid 2, so I support it.
Just caught that one.
Yeah, I hit bonus.
Well, no, I feel compelled to. I wanted to bring this up, just sort of a tone for bringing up the Michael Wolff, the Filth and the Fury, or whatever it's called. This is from the Washington Post today. Trump. This is from the 4th, sorry. Trump administration plan would widely expand drilling in U.S. continental waters. It says, the Trump administration unveiled a controversial proposal Thursday to permit drilling in most U.S. continental shelf waters, including protected areas of the Arctic and Atlantic, where oil and gas exploration is opposed by governors from New Jersey to Florida. Under the proposal, only one of 26 planning areas in the Arctic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Gulf of Mexico, and the Atlantic Ocean would be off limits to oil and gas exploration, according to Interior Secretary Ryan Zink. He said the Bureau of Ocean and Energy Management has identified 47 potential areas where industry companies can buy leases between 2019 and 2024, when the proposed period would begin and end. So, yeah, look forward to more Deepwater Horizons in the future. This is sort of I guess, an underrated thing about the Trump administration, an underrated horror is the EPA and all of the environmental things that they're just absolutely gutting.
It's really terrifying.
Also there's the Clean Air Act as well.
Yeah. They're allowing companies to dump fucking tailings into tributaries now in a way that was banned before.
Just selling off much of the national park system to, again, further extraction industries.
And amazingly enough, drilling in Anwar, something that was a multi-year brutal battle during the Bush administration that they ultimately couldn't get, even with Republican Congress, just sailed through as part of the tax bill with basically nobody mentioning it.
Do people in Alaska want them?
Oh, they do, because they want the check.
Yeah.
They want more of that sweet lucre.
Yeah. Alaska is, their political representation is so weird, because it's just understood that the U.S. rep and the 2 senators from Alaska, their entire job is just to grift the Senate. And rewinding a little bit to the tax bill, when Murkowski voted for it, I wasn't as mad at her as I was at Susan Collins, because it's well, that's the job for Alaska. Just got to get the grift in. Just gotta get it so people I don't know, get another community center that's paid for by no work labor. It's sort of like The Sopranos, but everyone is Christopher.
I don't know if you all remember Deepwater Horizon. Of course, I'm talking about the movie with Mark Wahlberg, not the actual oil spill. No, the oil spill, still the effects of that are still not even widely. We won't even be able to assess the true scale of that disaster. But there's probably an area in the Gulf of Mexico, probably the size of Connecticut, that's just a dead zone. Nothing is. And again, the effects of this will be long reaching. And I just want to read here from. Drilling also has its supporters, including House Majority Whip Steve Scalise of Louisiana, who says, with this program, my constituents, whose jobs depend on the energy industry, can rest easy knowing that oil and gas development is a priority for this administration. With increased exploration and production in the Gulf of Mexico and beyond, we will be able to create more jobs and continue to receive revenue sharing that's vital to rebuilding our coast. To which I say, play ball!
Yeah, and even if none of these things blow up, even if nothing leaks into any of these oceans, life on Earth cannot sustain itself if we take all of this shit out of the ground, period. The stuff that's in the ground largely has to stay there, or else we will fucking microwave everything to death. But people have jobs right up until the moment that their skin melts off their body, and that's what counts.
And those jobs are great.
And they're fantastic jobs, and they're long-term, and they redound to the community's
cool.
benefit.
They're healthy.
Yeah, look at those fracking camps in North Dakota. You can't
Those guys had a great time.
That is a thriving social order right there.
It's just a birthday party.
Yeah,
every day.
Yeah, all these guys in these fucking Quonset huts, all stabbing one another and sex trafficking people. It's awesome.
Yeah. I think half the people I ever threw out of the bar in St. Paul were people who were oil workers in North Dakota, and it made me very sad because I realized their big night out, their big vacation night out, was to go to St. Paul, Minnesota, instead of to party in North Dakota. But yeah, no, they were lunatics because they were worked to the bone. I mean, it's like any other industry in modern America where the jobs of 5 people are given to one person, but they're also just loaded up with opiates for their injuries and then meth to balance it out. Actual meth or like Vyvanse or something. And they will make a shitload of money if oil is above a certain price, but if it isn't, their estimates go completely off and they get laid off, and they went into debt to buy an SUV. But
back to Philadelphia and let the fire burn, though. Did you guys see the local news footage from Philly of all of the DAs Krasner just fired walking out of the dude?
Yeah.
Okay, I should link this in the episode description. It's from like local Philly news. So they're like, coming up next, the water report. But first, our new DA has been firing all these cops and prosecute. Okay, Krasner, that's a fucking bright spot for 2018. The footage of in probably 0-degree temperatures, just scores of these fucking prosecutors carrying cardboard boxes full of like world's greatest lawyer, like mugs and pencils out of their shitty offices, just trudging through the snow with just miserable looks on their face. Honestly, fed my soul.
Yeah.
I
feel good about that.
That's how you fucking reform, is just clear out.
Yeah.
Fire these fuckers. There's no reforming them with these people having their jobs.
No.
That's such a good sign that he got in there and was just like, day one, you fired.
What's funny is that the local. I read an article from the Inquirer, and they said, first of all, they gave plenty of space for all these cops and prosecutors saying, "Oh, they're destroying our ability to do our jobs over here." But also, they said, why did he fire these 30? It might be because they pissed off his wife, who's a judge. And it's like they can't process anything outside of just these petty fucking personal vendettas. There's no reason, like the idea that a guy who campaigned on wholesale radical change of the way that they prosecute crime in the city would have to fucking fire people to make that happen just doesn't even compute.
You have to fire people whose like entire lives and careers are based around the exact opposite of what he's attempting to do in the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I wonder if they saw it coming.
I bet they did. But still, actually, you know what? I bet a lot of the looks on their faces are like, they're like, we're talking to, 30-year veterans of the DA's office, I don't know. What's a good Philly shithead name?
Nicky Casavododio.
And he had a look on his face like maybe up until the moment he had to put his stuff in one of those cardboard boxes, he thought that he could
Yeah, I can finesse this guy. Don't worry about it. I'm going to finesse
No,
him.
it's fine.
I do want to talk about something a little bit more serious, and I want to talk about the profile, the very long profile of James Risen that was in the Intercept this week. Matt, you read it. It's fairly explosive. Can we talk a little bit about that piece and why it's important?
Well, he talks about his.
First of all, James Risen is the New York Times' national security reporter
for them during the Bush years, and he got he had access to the fucking NSA spying story that was later confirmed by Edward Snowden in 2004, before the election, and he was not allowed to publish it essentially by the New York Times because they were told by government officials like Michael Hayden and Condoleezza Rice that it was too sensitive, that we were at war, that we were saving American lives. And so as a result, they couldn't talk about it. And for over a year, they stopped him from publishing this information until he basically forced them to by writing it in a book that he had contracted outside of the New York Times publishing empire. And basically the situation was it was either going to be in a book and then everyone was going to go, well, why the hell isn't it in this newspaper, or it was going to be in both, and they eventually blinked and they published it. I mean, he got a Pulitzer for it, but only after being stopped for over a year from fucking publishing it, basically because the government asked Bill Keller and those people nicely.
And the interesting thing is, I don't know whether it would have made a difference in the 2004 election. However, it would have had some effect, and the conscious choice that the Bush administration demanded that they not publish it, the New York Times were complicit in, I think, putting a thumb on the scale for that election.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that they actually thought of it the other way. They felt like publishing it would have been influencing the election, and then therefore it was more fair to not publish it because someone who is the thought was that one of the people who was the source might have had an agenda, might have had a political agenda, and so it would be not right to sort of help them by publishing something that might change the election.
But essentially, what he details in this article is that the government does have veto power over what the New York Times
absolutely
publishes.
And it wasn't just the NSA story. Before that, during the run-up to the Iraq War, he had stories that called into question the accusations about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and ties to Al-Qaeda, and that were largely butchered and spiked. And none of this was anything like the situation where there was a threat of legal action. There was never any suggestion by the government that it would be illegal for them to publish this stuff. They just said it would be bad. It would be bad for America. It would be bad for national security. And they bought it. And sometimes they lied to them. For example, they gave them the idea that they were just collecting bulk data and nobody was reading emails or listening to phone calls, which was a lie. But the one thing from it that really stuck with me is after the whole thing was over, Bill Keller, reflecting on it, thought, well, I didn't want to publish it in 2004 because America's the moment everyone felt very scared. We were very worried about terrorism, and we trusted the government to stop it.
What's this we shit?
And then a year later, or 2 years later, by that point, Bush was in the toilet. Nobody trusted him. The edge had kind of come off of that post 9/11 hysteria. And so he said, and so the atmosphere was different and they could publish it. And he said, I was happy. I'm pleased with my decision to not publish it. And then I'm pleased with my decision to publish it because the national mood had changed, which is basically him saying that they're too cowardly and too worried about getting yelled at, essentially, to go against a presiding mood, which what the fuck good are you? If you can only trail after changes in national perception, you are literally doing nothing.
The second Bush administration is very interesting as opposed to the first, because when they talk about this national mood changing, what they mean is like basically around circa 2006 was when the sort of elite consensus left the Bush administration.
Yeah,
they gave up on them.
Right. And the funny thing is basically what happened is you'd think, well, yeah, okay, maybe Bush is a chump. Maybe we don't trust him anymore, but aren't we still at war? Aren't we still facing all these threats? Isn't there a possible 9/11 around every corner and we need every mechanism of the national security state, including this illegal wiretapping stuff, to combat it? Well, no, because if the president is a chump and an incompetent who lets an American city drown or whatever, then the thought of him being in charge of protecting us is too disturbing. So we're going to revise down the threat that we think we're in. It's all in our head. When we trust the president, then it's a significant threat because we trust him to protect us from it. But if he's a fucking idiot and a clown and an incompetent, then the threat can't be that big.
Now, Matt, could you just talk a little bit about the fact that he was then, after the Bush administration, subpoenaed for his sources by the Obama administration?
Well, it went through. It started under Bush, and then it went through to Obama, and it was all part of this war on whistleblowers that really took up the second part of the Bush administration, and then really intensified under Obama. And one of his sources was sent to prison over it. And I think that the most interesting thing that popped up to me, and as someone who, as will remember, because he was too, was sort of a young resistance lib during the Bush years. According to Risen, the thing that changed the government attitude towards leaking, which used to be there'd be a leak and the government would kind of shake their fist, but they wouldn't really pursue finding out how it happened because it would involve this really dicey showdown with the press that could end up looking bad, from a PR perspective. So they didn't really pursue trying to force government officials or force reporters into revealing sources. Then Patrick Fitzgerald's investigation of Plamegate changed everything, according to Risen. He says that Fitzgerald went hog wild trying to find the person who leaked Valerie Plame's name to the
Robert
press.
Novak.
Yeah. And so he subpoenaed a ton of reporters. Judy Miller actually went briefly to jail, if people remember that. And that sort of set the tenor. And then everything was different after that. And to me, that was really resonant because I remember rooting like hell for the Plamegate investigation.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I want to talk about the Plamegate thing because I think it's interesting because me personally, like Matt, was obsessed with this during the Bush administration, and I thought, like, this is what's going to bring them down.
Yes.
It's like, this is why I have sort of an immunity to, like, the Russia stuff now, because I feel like I've had that illness before.
Yeah. And
now, like, you know, my immune system is built up. And the idea was that, like, I was so intent that the prospect of Karl Rove going to jail for, like, leaking a CIA agent's name or something was, like, so tantalizing to me that I was willing to, you know, essentially look to be delivered from this nightmare of the Bush administration from a fucking federal prosecutor like Patrick Fitzgerald, who, again, undertook a rather nasty assault on the freedom of the press.
Yes.
And the idea that Judy Miller went to jail is, of course, psychically satisfying because she should be in jail for her awful pre-war report. I don't know if that's also an attack on the press. Judy Miller is a rotten person and should be punished in some way.
Yeah.
However, it's like, you know, it's like this, the Patrick Fitzgerald thing was the proto people who have sex fantasies about Robert Mueller.
Yes, absolutely.
And James Comey.
The indictments came down. I remember this distinctly. The indictments came down in December, and people were calling it Fitzmas, and they were saying Merry Fitzmas online because he was Fitzgerald and it was Christmas and it was Fitzmas. And people were so fucking psyched. They had little pennants. And so it's the same thing as the Russia thing where you are rooting for the fucking this government apparatus, this law enforcement machinery, and the fucking CIA, like caring that a CIA officer got unveiled. Like that's to you a horrible fucking miscarriage of justice. I mean, people remember fucking Philip Agee in the 70s. I mean, if that had happened under Bush, you'd be rooting for the government to kill him or something.
Yeah, well, generally, like, those years, like, made liberals, like, more mentally deficient because right after 9/11, I would say, like, pretty much everyone except Barbara Lee went along with the mission in Afghanistan. And for most people who their default is not giving a shit about foreign policy, when there's, like, an opportunity for you to get mad and have a vendetta and be very serious and get very emotional thinking about the brave soldiers and thinking that there's actually some good and evil struggle where you can side with the most powerful military in the world and it's good, it was very calming for people to do. And then Iraq, and I would say enough Democrats went along with it that this generation of liberals, they couldn't criticize just the concept of war, the concept of empire. The myth of, like, the liberal dove has always been a myth in America. They've always gone along with every major intervention, but this was just the one that did it for this generation. And so when the time came when, like, the post 9/11 love of Bush wore off, they couldn't hit at him at a moral standpoint. It had to be like, oh, you were mean to the CIA, or oh, you didn't disclose these documents properly, or oh, your daughters like to get drunk. Just the most fucking submental, mind-numbing lines of attack. And the Plamegate thing, like, yeah, I don't think that they should have, like, disclosed the undercover agent. I mean, I think you should just blow the cover of every undercover agent at once. I don't fucking give a shit.
Well, yeah,
but it's like, that's the thing. That's the thing about Bush that should take him down. That he blew the cover of Valerie Plame, not that he killed these 2 million people. And now you see the repeat. Now it's like people are like, "Oh, you think nothing happened with Russia?" It's like, no, I think, like, Russia, the greasiest country in the world besides maybe Ukraine, which is why I support them in their struggle against them. You know, the Radio Shack of countries. No, I think, like, they probably did something weird with the Russia of people, Donald Trump. But in the face of everything else, I don't fucking give a shit. I don't give a fuck.
Well, the real damage is when you end up looking for some sort of procedural way out of a disagreeable administration by rooting for this apparatus of state that persists long after any given president is gone and does way more damage. In the long run, that is the real danger. In fact, one of the people who went to the New York Times to convince them not to report on this NSA stuff was fucking James Comey. who got he got shined up.
Good man.
Well, right, he got shined up because he was when Obama appointed him the FBI director. One of the stories that got put out was that he was the one who stood up against the NSA spying and said it was fucked up. But then a few months later, after they did it anyway, he was at the New York Times telling them not to fucking report on it.
James Comey, can I just say how much I cannot stand that motherfucker, that big lurch dumbass, that fucking Brill-Cream statue of shit. Like ever since he got fired, this guy spent like 4 decades framing Muslims for trying to assassinate Waluigi. Like all his agency does is like send some fucking Long Island shithead or some Mormon sociopath to go on ICQ and find any 13-year-old Muslim and go, hey, do you want to do 9/11? We do it every year and you can take part in it. And then being like, when they say yes, going, oh, we stopped him. We stopped 9/11 too. Just one of the most capricious, evil agencies, the FBI, that runs a child porn server.
Not to mention,
and this fucking scumbag who spent his entire life throwing people in solitary confinement forever for the rest of their lives. He gets treated slightly unfairly once. Like he gets fired by the dumbass president, and he's obviously like. Even if there wasn't this whole backstory behind it, he would go into whatever 7-figure gig at like a law firm or something, or just make speeches called like the Justice of Honor at the fucking Foundation for Clit Removal in Riyadh. And he gets treated slightly unfairly, maybe 1/1,000,000th of how he has treated anyone else in the world, even at the FBI or his career as a federal prosecutor. And all he does now is just make people take silhouette pictures of him against the sunset and going, when the times are hard, good men must be great. And it gets 50 million retweets.
The underlying thing to Plamegate was that Valerie Plame's husband, Joe Wilson, was in fact right about the spurious nature of getting uranium from, what African country was he?
Niger.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, in my head, being so obsessed with it, like, I thought, like, you know, the War on Terror administration, like the troop kissers, like this is too much. People are finally going to realize the hypocrisy. They're exposing to danger one of our CIA agents who's supposed to be fighting the war on terrorism. And then, God, that's embarrassing now because, like Felix said, if I had that knock list like Mission Impossible, I would gladly make all of it.
And you put it on Reddit. You see it again. You see it again. Like you see it in every little thing. Like. You know, now, like, I feel the U.S. Navy is like the Amelia Bedelia of military branches. Like, they are just getting lost all the time, and it's pretty funny, you got to admit. But every time they get, like, there's things where they've been lost in the Persian Gulf and gotten lost in North Korea, despite $100 trillion being spent on special computers for them to never get lost. And people are like, Donald Trump, why aren't you taking leadership on our members of our military being in danger? And it's like it's the same type of thing where it's like we never interrogate this idea that we have so many boats going around the world that are supposed to scare people that they just crash into each other. No, it's that Donald Trump didn't send their families a card when he's like, sorry, their GPS fucked up. You know, I've had a lot of fun on boats. Me and Larry Silverstein, we let's just say we put the Eiffel Tower in the Hudson back in '82. They want him to do that call.
He thinks we have literal invisible planes.
Yeah.
How the fuck is he going to fix this?
Oh, my friend Jeffrey would love that.
Remember when
what's going on inside isn't invisible. So
yeah,
really
like the Wonder Woman.
Oh,
plane.
look, Jeffrey. Actually, don't. No, okay, Jeffrey, we're not doing that.
Remember when those sailors like went up in Iran's waters and they got commandeered and they like gave them juice boxes and shit, and people were like, they've humiliated our sailors.
Yes. They made
them sit down and drink juice boxes while they waited for their parents to come pick them up.
Those sailors looked like they were at a sleepover and they fell asleep with gum in their hair and got it all over their clothes, and the Iranian kids were like, here, you just wear our clothes. It was that level of humiliation. That was the moment that the U.S. Navy lost its confidence and just started getting lost all the time.
All right, so to close out this week's show, I want to get to this piece that was one of my favorite things that I've read recently. This was right before the new year, This is a profile done in the New York Times about the latest trend that is sweeping the valley and all of the smartest people in the world. Of course, I'm talking about the raw water movement. What is raw water, you may ask? It's basically untreated water that is now being sold for like $60 a gallon to some of the most gullible shitheads in the world. In the New York Times, this is an article by Nellie Bowles from December 29th of last year. Headline, Unfiltered Fervor, the rush to get off the water grid. Now, keep in mind when you read this article,
The water grid.
we can be very critical of the society we live in. Society is bullshit, as
Fiona Apple once said.
Fiona Apple
This
once
world is
said.
bullshit.
The world is bullshit.
Love that girl.
Our civilization is evil. However, I feel pretty confident in saying I think one of the things that we can be proud of as a civilization is the fact that basically, well, in most of the parts of the country, you can turn on a faucet and get water that you can drink and not die.
Yeah. The fact that there are so many parts of this country that have bad water, that have leaded water, like Flint and countless other communities, that's bad. That's something that we should fix because it is genuinely a miracle of modern civilization that we have created this network that allows us access to this life-giving so that we don't shit ourselves to death.
Hey guys, welcome to Life Hacker. You know those weird faucets and drains you have in your apartment? They're not just decorative. You can use it to clean the dirt off your disgusting nude body. You could even wear a bathing suit if you want. Or you can put it into what's called a cup and drink it so you don't die. This has been Life Hacker.
So,
Because like this is a thing that all it needs is more money and more investment. It doesn't need to be reinvented. It actually works if we would just fucking fund it.
free motherfucking water. Shout out to Joe Yu, by the way, my new favorite person on the internet. So keep that in mind. Like, you've maybe been taking for granted the fact that you can turn on a faucet in your house and have water that you can wash yourself with, you can drink, you can cook with it. It's right there.
You can pour it out on the ground.
So just leave it
You can
running.
do whatever the fuck you want with it.
Okay.
You can freeze it and put it in other beverages.
Here's a little Easter egg. If you got what's called a foreskin, you can dip your penis into a container of water and clean
You
the
can peel
lint.
that baby back.
Peel it back. Just you take all the gunk out of there. You know the gunk in there. You can take it out
Done
using
and done.
water.
Buff that hog up.
In San Francisco and the Valley, they have a different idea. So I'm just going to start reading from this article. At Rainbow Grocery, a cooperative in this city's Mission District, one brand of water is so popular that it's often out of stock. But one recent evening, there was a glittering rack of it. Glass orbs containing 2.5 gallons of what is billed as raw water. Unfiltered, untreated, unsterilized spring water. $36.99 each and $14.99 per refill.
That's
Bottled-
right. Fatty Arbuckle took a bath in this.
My glistening orbs of water.
Yeah, I like those little specks of lint and dead skin in there. They're like little flavor crystals. It's like Goldschlager water.
Here we go. It has a vaguely mild sweetness and a nice smooth mouthfeel.
Yeah, that's the
Shut
cholera.
up.
Oh yeah, that's the electrolytes from the fat guy that took a bath in it.
Nothing that overwhelms the flavor profile, said Kevin Freeman, a shift manager at the store. Bottled water is controversial. We've curtailed our water selection, but this is totally outside that whole
This isn't
realm.
a bottle. It's a glistening orb.
Yeah.
Here on the West Coast and in other pockets of stupidity around the country, many people are looking to get off the water grid. Like we said, that amazing thing that allows us to like live and have like a clean, amazing society.
But anybody gets to do it. The thing is, these people are violently opposed to any kind of social good. They hate anything that everybody gets because then they're not special. Remember fucking Elon Musk talking about how awful public transportation is?
Yes.
You're surrounded by just anybody. Ew, look at these other people. They hate that. They're special, perfect beings of genius, and they should not have to drink the same water as every other fucking subnormal schlub that they have nothing but contempt for. The hogs, the fucking future cattle that they just want to basically turn into batteries and organ farms.
They don't enjoy any sense of kind of community or collectivism, and I hate the idea of community in the way that it's normally used. But the fact that you can get on a bus and basically look around and see Sesame Street, except one or two people smells like piss, is like an actual wonderful human part of living in an urban center. And these people don't like that part.
No, they want to be carried around in a jet-propelled little crystal ball. Everybody can look at
They want to
them
be
as
Glinda the Good
as they
Witch.
tootle around the town in their floating ball,
their water orb.
their little water orb, floating through the town. So everyone could look at them and be like, "That's a special
By the
genius.
way-
That guy knows how to code."
Yeah.
Speaking of Elon Musk, Felix, I did see that you uncovered the fact that, not made up, Elon Musk is a rockabilly guy.
Yeah, Elon Musk said, he said at
The
ne-
worst people.
Yeah, he said I've never heard him speak, so I'm just going to do an approximation.
Go for it, buddy.
Sounds like sort of a South African Dracula. And he's like at the next supercharger station for Tesla, we're going to have waitresses on skates and a drive-in movie theater and malts.
Like poodle skirts
And poodle skirts.
and like flick knives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
leather jackets and-
Elon Musk is going to colonize Mars, and it's like the colony is just going to look like a big jukebox. And instead of having a solar cycle because it's dark all the time, a big robot will go up to it and hit it, and will play like one of the classic 50s
It's
songs.
going to look like the rock and roll McDonald's.
It'll be, yeah, he's going to live in Rock and Roll McDonald's, and when the big robot, the big mech hits the jukebox, and it plays a song called like, "Oh, sweetie baby, I'll never run across the train tracks." That's when your day begins because you don't have a solar cycle, and everyone wakes up, and he gets on a big like microphone, like a 1950s style microphone with a ring around it, and goes, "Hey, rockin' babies, it's time for another day on the moon." And then he shares a malt with a sex robot, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
The robots
Who's
aren't
wearing like a cherry dress and has really big tits.
Yeah, and she has like Betty Page bangs, but they're not built with pussies. Like the only way you can reproduce is if you rub a girl's elbow. That you transfer your cum into their robot uterus through there and create android children who grow up who are just born with hard parts.
They come out wearing Davy Crockett caps.
Yeah. Hey, Rockin' Daddy, thanks for creating me. Thanks for creating your misbegotten android child who doesn't know whether his duty is to machine or man. I'm an android baby, and you're my human queen. I'll never become one with the great machine. We created a computer simulation for all mankind, but I have a mix of robot and humankind. Oh, my flesh and blood, baby, you're gonna die someday. So I'm gonna freeze your head and store you away until I can put you on a robot body for me, okay? But until then, my dad's Elon Musk, and that's a-okay. I'm a robot on Mars, and I'm a rockabilly. Took the best parts of human and made it silly. My cigarettes are rolled up in my sleeve.
They're just plinking on upright bases like the bear band at Chuck E. Cheese's and just crying and singing songs about wishing that they hadn't been created.
Yeah, it's like the spider robots
Why
from the
did you-
Matrix, and they're wearing denim vests. We're gonna go down
Begging
to
for death.
we're gonna go down to Zion and kill the last of the humans.
Another thing that will be featured in Elon Musk's Martian colony is a store called a franchise of Liquid Eden, a water store that opened in San Diego 3 years ago. A water store.
Water store.
Liquid Eden. So like in the Garden of Eden, God was like, "Hey, so I created this whole water filtration process, and I put fluoride in it." And Adam's like, "Not gonna trick me. I'm gonna drink from that dirty tributary."
It says Liquid Eden offers a variety of options, including fluoride-free, chlorine-free, and mineral electrolyte alkaline drinking water that goes for $2.50 a gallon. Well, what adherents share is a wariness of tap water, particularly the fluoride added to it and the lead pipes that some of it passes through. They contend that the wrong kind of filtration removes beneficial minerals. Even traditional bottled spring water is treated with ultraviolet light or ozone gas and passed through filters to remove algae. What?
Yeah,
They're
isn't that
stealing
cool?
my algae?
Isn't that cool? By the way, do you know why the toothless hillbilly stereotype exists? Because there's no fucking fluoride in that water, and they lose their fucking teeth before they're 40. Both of my grandparents had dentures in their early 40s.
Yeah, but
fluoride is good as hell.
But what were
Children's
their
ice cream, Amber.
what were their pH levels? I bet they were better than yours.
Well, Amber, you say that, but once they remove all that helpful algae, they say these filters, they kill healthful bacteria, probiotics in raw water parlance.
It's not sauerkraut, you dumb shits. It's water.
There's yogurt.
That's yogurt. You're talking about yogurt.
There's kimchi for that.
I love going to a restaurant and having tap water and being like, sir, there's none of the algae or raccoonges that I usually enjoy in my water. Come on, I know the owner.
Not everything can be probiotic.
No.
No, everything should be I live a probiotic lifestyle.
Listen to
You
this.
just eat fish shit every day to keep healthy.
But the off-grid water movement has become more than the fringe phenomenon it once was, referring,
No,
of course,
it
to the
hasn't.
John Bircher movement of the 1950s and General Jack D. Ripper.
That's what I love about this is that these are the most sexless, super optimized LinkedIn human beings, but they have in practice they're the same as Birchers, who were the coolest Americans,
American
they're-
heroes.
Yeah, they're the same as the people who were like, the Jews are putting Jack Parr on television, trying to turn me gay with his wink.
So it says here, more than the fringe phenomenon it once was, with a sophisticated marketing, cultural cachet, millions of dollars in funding, and influential supporters from Silicon Valley. One recent morning in the hills of Berkeley, California, Cody Friesen, the founder and chief executive of Zero Mass Water, was inspecting water collection panels he had installed for his investor, Skip Battle, a longtime tech leader who now sits on the boards of LinkedIn, Netflix, and OpenTable. This is like a sort of thing that collects water from the atmosphere and through solar panels, which I guess is kind of cool if you're trying to live off the grid in general. Yeah. But like, as a consumer
that's not
product,
cool, and you shouldn't live off the grid. Live with people. Be a part of society.
Okay, here we go. This is where
Don't
it gets
write a
really
manifesto. It will never be as good as that one.
Oh my God, so good.
It's so good.
These people want to be Big Ted so bad, and they never will be.
Nobody can touch him.
Big Ted,
Here's where it gets-
absolute king.
Here's where it says it's really good. Mr. Battle poured himself a glass. The water from the tap just doesn't taste quite as refreshing, he said. Now, is that because I saw it come off the roof and anything from the roof feels special? Maybe.
What?
It's roof water.
Oh, that classic thing where you're like, it just tastes better if I found it on the roof.
Everything's better off the roof.
What's this great rotisserie you're making? Oh, it's this pigeon that fell into my storm gutter.
It's roof chicken.
Yeah, that's why I replaced all the plates in my house with Spanish tile from my roof.
Yeah, this guy saw the movie title Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and was like, that sounds delicious.
Here's where it gets really, really good. This is a callback. The most prominent proponent of raw water is Doug Evans, a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. Surprising. After his juicing company, Juicero, collapsed in September.
yeah.
What?
King.
You might not remember Juicero, the company,
What?
How
the
could we
$500 juice machine that literally does what squeezing
squeezed
the
the
bag. His company collapsed because it was fucking stupid and had no reason to exist, and then he was exposed for that, like so many of these other dipshits who, like the blood baron herself, Elizabeth Bathory 2.0, will never suffer any
No,
negative
of course.
consequences. They're coming back with Juicero.
Personal
By
responsibility
the way,
does not
did I
exist in
tell you I
Silicon
finally
Valley.
figured out Juicero? Like the why they thought that it would be a machine?
Why?
Because they only drink juice, they all have pellagra, and they don't have the physical strength to crush it themselves.
That's true.
Here
Not
he
enough
goes.
protein.
He goes, he went on a...
I just want to interject and say, I don't know if you saw, Theranos has secured $100 million more of funding in the last month.
Perfect.
Hell yeah, of course.
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
Just keep,
The thing-
Money's never going to run out.
I want to announce I'm getting back with my ex, Elizabeth Holmes.
Okay, check this out. So after Juicero collapsed in September, he went on a 10-day cleanse, drinking nothing but live water. I haven't tasted tap water in a long time, he said. Before he could order raw water on demand, Mr. Evans went spring hunting with friends. This has become more challenging lately. The closest spring around San Francisco has recently been cut off by landslides. So reaching it means crossing private property, which he does under cover of night.
Just getting murked by a property owner so that
You
you
have
can
to be
drink
agile.
some dew off of a leaf.
Yeah, you have to be agile and tactile and be available to experiment, he said. Literally, you have to carry bottles of water through the dark. I want to see like a David Attenborough documentary where they do that cool night vision. They're like, this is now a Silicon Valley VC. He's approaching a cactus to get its dewy moisture. It's one of his only clean water sources.
I want to see this be the new Metal Gear Solid. Just replace the beloved Big Boss and Solid Snake characters with like a guy that invents styluses.
You know, I wonder if some of it is I do think we have like a human desire for struggle, and these people don't have any
Viktor Frankl, baby.
in their lives, and so instead of plugging into ruling the world or anything like that, they create a weird survival fantasy in their head where they're like, oh, I have to get to the good water that I will never die if I drink it.
Yeah.
If I have the roof tar and bird shit,
Yes.
then I will never die.
So
Yeah.
we've already gotten Juicero and a lot of off Silicon Valley VC bullshit. Let's bring in another utterly repellent and awful cultural phenomenon into this mix. You ready for this? At Burning Man, the summer festival in Nevada that attracts the Digerati and others, Mr. Evans and his RV mate brought 50 gallons of spring water they had collected. I'm extreme about health, I know, but I'm not alone with this, Mr. Evans said. There are a lot of people doing this with me. You'll never know what you run into at the spring. What I find interesting about this is like these are like California ideology, Silicon Valley utopians, and they're going to Burning Man, this big hippie love fest in the desert. But the core of all of their beliefs and like their obsession with like purity and taking health serious is extremely reactionary. There's something very right wing about all this. It's like Hitler Youth or something. Like
absolutely.
it's back to nature, kind of like Jugendrein or something.
Yeah, it's also this very like Rousseauian understanding of what purity is, and it's like, no, science brings you purity.
Well, yeah, it's like the Teutonic myth.
Yeah.
So-
I am drinking from a mountain spring
Yeah,
that has been poisoned by the Jew.
we listened to Wagner the entire trip to Burning Man. Okay,
We
so
all love Wagner.
here we go.
This is a Wagner podcast.
The
now.
founder
Wagner
of Live
rocks.
Water. The founder of Live Water, Mukhan Singh, started selling spring water from Opal Springs in Culver, Oregon 3 years ago, but it was a small local operation until this year. Marketing materials show Mr. Singh, original name Christopher Sanborn, sitting naked and cross-legged on a hot spring.
Wait,
His
did he
long
just-
I'm South Asian now. Okay?
Excuse me.
Did
his
he
lo-
do the reverse Bobby Jindal? What the fuck?
He did.
Sitting naked, cross-legged on a hot spring, his long brown hair overflowing. Okay, you guys want
I'm
to see a
looking up a
picture
picture
of
of this.
Mukhan? No, it's right here.
Dime.
Here's Mukhan.
Oh.
Here's Christopher Sanborn, a.k.a. Mukhan Singh. Okay, so it says here, pure water can be obtained by using a reverse osmosis filter. Mr. Singh, a.k.a. Mr. Sanborn, says real water should expire after a few months.
What?
Think about that.
Yeah.
This is a problem I've never had with water.
Yeah. Well, the
Sort of
idea is it's supposed to be a durable asset
Yeah.
that it could be
I
stored.
mean, it's literally one of the most chemically uncomplex substances
Yeah.
that
It's-
is available in large quantities.
That's
on
what
Earth.
happens after the man strips it down. If you're drinking real water that has a dead rat in it, steeping like tea.
Wait a minute. You don't have to chew your water? Oh.
So he goes,
Can I have your most pulpy water?
The thing
home
is,
style water.
I love the.
it's the curds that have all the nutrition.
Yeah.
I like,
My mom used to leave all the pebbles in the water, so I grew up to be so tall.
So he goes, real water should expire. his does. It stays most fresh within 1 lunar cycle of delivery, he said.
Oh my God,
It
this
all
guy.
depends on the moon.
This guy rocks.
If
This-
it sits around too long, it'll turn green. People don't even realize that because all their water is dead, so they never see it turn
Yes,
green.
I want dead water.
I want dead water. I want water that will
doesn't turn
hydrate me.
green.
I don't want to get typhoid.
No, I want to get a fucking moose's bathwater sold to me by a guy with ass length hair and a goatee who hands my $70 water to me and
You know,
goes,
these silly-
have a powerful and magnificent cycle.
Here's, by the way, that's speaking of the word cycle, I am dying to know this man's insights into menstruation because
Amber,
you know they're good.
Amber, you asked. I'm about to tell you.
Oh my God, this is the best
I'm
day.
about to tell you. Mr. Singh believes that public water has been poisoned. Tap water, you're drinking toilet water with birth control drugs in there. So like, I love that. Like, there's nothing more
Yeah, put it
disgusting.
right in the water. I need that shit.
He's like, I love that. Like, there's nothing more disgusting for him than birth control drugs.
Oh, it's-
like I said, these guys are all low key reactionaries.
Yeah.
Like, they're just missing. Like, there's 1 degree of difference between these people and the trad cats people who want to live in the Hobbit
Yes.
village.
It's
Yes.
anti-society.
It's
Yeah.
anti-modernist. It's anti-society.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Silicon Valley has often been accused of trying to bring back feudalism, and a real piece of evidence for that is their insistence on trying to bring back medieval diseases.
Yeah.
He goes-
well, one of the interesting things, like you look at how Mao realized he couldn't actually develop the countryside as quickly as he wanted to. So he was like, well, okay, we can't build a hospital here, but you can use traditional Chinese medicine. And these people are like, what's that? I don't think that's a thing. No, your grandmother used to do this. Yeah, okay, your leg, it's rotting off. But there's a type of lizard, and you'll be completely fine. And this is what people try to sell to poor people when they either don't want to or find themselves unable to provide them with the supports of modernity.
And now instead we have bored rich people deciding to cosplay as medieval peasants.
Yep. I hope they all fucking
Oh,
die.
certainly.
Like, I hope they die.
Because, like, Edwin Burke used to say that, like, there was a value to rich people accumulating wealth because then they were able to display it to people in a way that was aesthetically pleasing and inspiring. Splendor that everyone could enjoy, even though it was controlled by just a few rich people. These motherfuckers don't even want to do that. They just want to recreate the lifestyles of a fucking like a shack dweller in Mumbai or something like that. They want to fucking eat Soylent and shit their guts out from fucking chunky green water.
It's a deranged fantasy that has always befallen the upper classes during times of extreme wealth inequality too, where they both kind of fantasize about this bucolic pre-modern era and also try and make it elite so it's unavailable to actual poor people.
Yeah, at
it's like the
$40
same
a
thing.
gallon.
It's the same thing with the Victorians when they're like, we're gonna shove cornflakes up our ass so that we can stop masturbating to our cousins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they had these deranged ideas about health because they had this generalized kind of anxiety and alienation because they're like, another child got eaten up by an industrial loom in my factory today. Better shove some more cornflakes up my ass.
Yeah,
these guys are just John Harvey Kellogg reborn.
Yeah, their only social engagement is like going to special parties where like them and their rich friends eat oysters off of each other's pot bellies, and they're like, "Oh, I like feel weird all the time." I think the problem is that I have like a bad humor. And could somebody just make some like room temperature oatmeal that they pour down my urethra? I think that's the way to do it.
If all you want to do is drink pond water and eat fucking Soylent paste, you don't need $1 billion. They should just take all of their money. They don't need it.
But here's the thing. Mr. Singh says, in addition to the fact that tap water has birth control drugs in them, he says chloramine, and on top of that, they're putting in fluoride. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but it's a mind control drug that has no benefit to our dental health. It says, call me a conspiracy. It's a mind control drug that has no benefit to our dental health. And then in parentheses, it says, in the article, it says, there is no scientific evidence that fluoride is a mind control drug, but plenty to show that it aids dental health. So then it goes on where they talk to actual public health experts who are very disturbed by this new trend with good reason. And then it just-
I'm not, because normal people won't do it. It's only.
Well, I got a grand bargain for these motherfuckers.
It's not even like the vaccination stuff. It poses no.
It's true.
public
It's
health
not. It
threat.
doesn't hurt
It'll
anyone
just-
else. Which
it's
is
gonna
which is
cull the
so.
herd.
So let's make a deal. Give them all of the bog water and runoff that they can drink, and then we take all of their money and we use it to modernize the water infrastructure for everybody else, and get all the lead out of the pipes, and give everybody else access to clean drinking water, dead water, and then they can drink all of the out of all of the acorns that they want to.
It's a hell of a bargain.
Yeah.
So they talked to one more person who's Vanessa Kumerl of Emeryville, California, who says, fluoride, it's a deathly toxic chemical. She does landscape design for large tech companies. Said she was an early adopter of raw water and has noted many of her clients following suit. They're health conscious people and understand the bigger picture of what's going on, she said. Everyone's looking for an edge. Nootropics, bulletproof coffee, better water.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, like we
The
want
health,
some.
hold on a sec. The health benefits, she reported, include better skin and the need to drink less water. My skin's plumper, she said, and I feel like I'm getting better nutrition from the food I eat.
See, that malaria gives you a nice bloat before you shit out everything.
You know what also makes your skin plumper? When you drown and your body stays in a lake for a week. My friends who drink spring water, when they come over now, they're like, oh yeah, give me the good stuff, said Amanda Thompson, a writer in San Francisco. The consciousness around water is changing. This is all real. This is not like, oh.
Yeah, you can't really
how do
parody
you-
these people.
The moment we live in is truly historically significant, and I hope T. Jackson Lears lives long enough to write about it in the same way that he wrote about the hysteria of the upper class Victorians.
Yeah, what this all boils down to is money poisoning.
Yeah.
Listen
These
to
people
this.
have been poisoned by having too much fucking money.
Yeah.
And
Listen
the
to
only solution is to take it from them.
Yeah,
Listen to
it's
this.
for their own good.
Yes.
Raw water is such a nascent business that there's debate over what exactly to call the liquid. Daniel Vitalis hosts a podcast, Rewild Yourself, that promotes hunting for food and gathering water. It's a podcast that promotes the hunter-gatherer lifestyle.
That's cool. Why do you guys have to control billions of dollars of assets to do this shit?
Adding, what's it called again?
Rewild Yourself.
Rewild yourself.
He says he prefers the term unprocessed water, which echoes the idea of processed versus unprocessed food. I don't like raw water because it sort of makes you think of raw sewage, said Mr. Vitalis.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Subscribe.
Because it
By the
turns
way,
green after a
Vitalis,
week?
There's no way that's his fucking name.
When you
No,
say
probably not.
live water, that's going to trigger a lot of people who are into physics and biology. Is it alive? That's the end of the article. That's
The
end of
dumbest
article.
people on earth are going to be excited by your branding opportunity. Good God.
So
Take their money. It's the only way to stop them from shitting their guts out in a culvert is to
Well,
take
You know what?
their fucking money.
It's the problem's gonna fix itself.
Yeah.
Well, that would be
only
good.
if yeah, but not if they can
Fucking change as much as
inherit,
they
not if
want.
they can pass it on. They have
that
to
would
have
be
it
good.
taken from them.
I hope they all get Giardia, but like the problem is that these people are all extremely wealthy and have the ear of politicians and are quite powerful people in our society that I think are going to try eventually to disrupt our, water and transportation infrastructure
Oh, I
to
don't
make
think
us
so.
all
Because then
hunter-gatherers.
it won't be a luxury item.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's true, but at the other, it has its own budget benefits because hey, it would probably cost $1 trillion to fix America's pipes nationwide
Yeah,
to get all the
fixing
lead out of
Flint
them.
is gonna be-
Just
yeah.
tell people to drink out of the sewer. Just drink out of the gutter as it comes off of your house.
Just get a long straw.
yeah.
No, Amber, I think your reference to Mao is the correct one, where it's just like we realize that like we can't, and by can't I mean we're not going to spend the money to upgrade our infrastructure or provide clean drinking water for everyone in the country. So just discover some ancient secret about live water and just tell everyone to drink out of fucking rain puddles.
Possibly.
Anyway, before we end the show for this week, I want to plug once again Gaming Debate.
Gaming debate.
Tickets still available.
Yes.
The Bell House.
January 19th.
January
Watch me
19th.
spank Virgil's little gamer buttocks.
Pick your side now and come with wearing Matt or Virgil t-shirts, big foam #1 fingers. It's all good. Finally, before we end the show, I want to give a shout out that's long overdue. I've been asked many times the theme song to the show, Salute to El Chapo. Where's it from? Finally got to give a shout out. DJ Smokey, in case you weren't aware of him. I was listening to a lot of his mixtapes when we did the first episode, or around like the time when the show started percolating in my mind. And I would say it was highly influential in the name choice and just general mindset I was in when I created Chapo Trap House. So if you're interested, if you like trap music and rap, check out DJ Smokey. I recommend The Haunted Trap House, volumes 1 through 3. DJ Smokey, Kirby Maine, 666, Positive Squad, Kush Aliens, I believe in them.
By the way, if you're in New York, the next Labor Now panel is going to be the 18th of January. We're going to be talking about union reform. So that's internal union reforms, member-led democratization initiatives. We're going to be talking to Pamela Galpern of CWA Local 1101, Beth Breslaw of Teamsters for a Democratic Union, and Alexandra Bradbury, the editor of Labor Notes. It is an all-misandry panel now. No men are allowed on the panel. You may not speak if you're a man. You may attend, but boys can't do union organizing anymore. I'm sorry. That's just the law. So show up. It's going to be at Verso Books, 18th. It's going to be a really good time, and we're going to serve beer.
Info in the show description. Until next time, guys. Cheers, everybody. Free motherfucking water.
All I wanna be is El Chapo. 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 Faces equal favor, faces value cases, favor for favor, faces equal blessing, faces equal flex, faces equal flex, favor for favor, faces equal blessing, faces equal favor, faces value cases, favor for favor, faces equal blessing, faces equal flex, faces equal flex, favor.